Welcome to the Alain Elkann interviews, an unprecedented window into the minds of some of the most well-known and respected figures of the last 25 years.
Rémi, you left school very young and you became a cabinet maker. Why?
I think I always dream about freedom. I want to be by myself. I always have an issue with authority, you know. For me, it's important to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And also I was in love with the wood. I would love to work with my hand, and I was very attracted by the wood as a material. I don't know why. I started to work since 13 years old.
What was your father doing?
My father was an artist, a painter, was making painting, figurative. And I have three sisters and one brother, so we have a quite large family, not that large, but quite large. But I always go outside.
Who taught you how to work with the wood?
Nobody.
Comment vous avez appris?
So when I decide to leave, I look around and there is two options. École Boulle in Paris, but my parents cannot afford a school like that. For me to go to Paris at l'École Boulle. It's a school when you can learn cabinet maker. And the other option was to go to Les Compagnons du Devoir. It's a tradition, it's a confrérie, come from the cathedral time. So it's from the Middle Age. When they built the cathedral, they create a confrérie with a different trade, like carpenter, stone worker, etc. And this is still ongoing. So you go there, it's an organization, association, and it's the origin of the franc-maçonnerie. So the franc-maçonnerie come from Les Compagnons du Devoir. So you live, you change city every year, every 6 months. You work at during the week to a boss, a company, and at night and on the weekend, you train and you learn with Les Compagnons. It's quite tough. You work like 12 hours a day and you travel every 6 months. You change job. You have to find your job by yourself, and you have to keep the place for the one next to you. It's quite intense.
Vous êtes un franc-maçon? You are a mason?
No. And if I leave, it's because of that. I don't like to be part of any establishment, things like that.
What did you start with? Which is the first thing you did and you sold?
When I left home, I go to Dunkerque, which is the north of France, quite tough city, cold. And the first thing I do is cleaning for 2 months, the workshop. And then after, c'est poncer. You know, when you do cabinet maker, there is molding. So you have to, with abrasive, you have to smooth the molding. And doing that for hours and hours. Nobody wants to do that. So they give that to the rabbit, you know, to the young guy. All the dirty work, all the bad work. So they toast you for 6 months, 1 year. After, most of them give up. But I keep going. I love it.
But what did you do? You started by doing furnishing?
Yeah. I do cabinet maker, furniture, refined furniture, marqueterie, sculpture. I learned all that for 8 years. I was pretty good. I did the Olympiad, the young cabinet maker, international competition.
And how come you became kind of an interior designer? Obviously, nowadays you're famous, you design interiors of course, of boats, sailing boats or motorboats, and then aircrafts, and then also hotels or private homes. But how come the boats? Why did you become so famous for boat interiors?
So when I was cabinet maker, one day, I was in love with what I'm doing. And one day at 3 p.m. afternoon, and I say, it's over. That's the end of it. So I close my toolbox. I go to see my boss at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and I say, I'm sorry, I have to leave. And he say, what happened? I say, nothing. It just come to my mind and obvious that I have to leave. I have to do something else with my life. And also I told the companion that I'm leaving. They all was very surprised and didn't understand. But it come obvious to me and I have to do it and I have to do it now. So I leave and I go to Lyon, next to Lyon. And I have a aunt who can give me a bed for 6 months in the roof, the grenier, you know. And I go there and I don't know anybody. I don't know. So I try to knock to the design office studio and nobody wants me because I have no background about design, and also I have dirty hands. You know, when you work on wood, the tannin come inside your skin, so you have dirty hands. So there was no chance. So I start to go in the shop, in the street, knock the door on the shop, and ask if they want to refurbish the shop. And my luck is that I have no money, and I was very angry. And so one guy said, okay, a flower shop. Okay, let's do it. You want to do a flower shop? Yeah, what's your idea? And I start like that, like on the street, which is good.
Then what happens? Why the boats?
So I'm starting to do a lot of shop at the beginning, retail business. So it was quite interesting because I built my business model. I go in a shop, I tell them, this is a project, this is a budget, this is a timeline. You pay me in advance, few time, and I deliver you the project on time. And then I discovered that in the retail, it's the guidance is really the business less than the desire or the instinct. It's become obvious to me that I want to work with private people. And one of my first clients, when I'm doing some private thing, saw his company and he wants to buy a Perini. And he buy this Perini boat and he asked to some famous designer to do the interior because it was like big things. And they all failed to fill his desire. And he come back to me and he said, can you try? And for me, it was like a good mix because it was a mix between my interior designer knowledge and my cabinet maker knowledge, because there is a lot of detail and the scale is lower because, as you know, the sailing boat is not much space and you have to put the luxury inside it. So it's all about proportion and detail. And I discovered that I love it. And I do this first boat, and this boat name was Squall. And it became a kind of benchmark in the industry because at that time there is nothing contemporary, warm, timeless, chic, elegant, without too much things. And that become quickly a benchmark. And I do another one and then another one. And then some billionaire come to me and I moved to Paris. So it was a big switch in my life when starting to do yacht, because I never do advertising or I never socialize to get work. I never do that. People come to me all the time. People look at my work, see my work and come to me.
Each boat is different?
Yeah.
Or you have a specific style?
It's designed by the same person, obviously, but I don't know if I have a style, but I don't want to have a style, if I can say. It's not my target. I want to have style, not a style. I want to have style.
But you don't design the boat. You design the interior of the boat.
I design the interior. I design the outdoor living exterior, and I style the exterior. I do the styling.
So you have to work with engineers who build the boat.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we work with engineers. We work with the shipyard. We work with the craftsmanship. We work with a team. Nothing happened by yourself. But I like to design the dream of my client. I don't want to design my dream.
One of your clients, and everybody knows that, is a very famous sailor. It's Bertarelli, who is a Swiss guy, who was a great sailor, and you did the design of his boat, right?
Yes, I've done 15 projects for Ernesto.
So it must be a challenge, right? To work with someone like that who knows so well.
I'm working only with people like Ernesto. This is what I love. I love the extreme expectation. That excites me. I don't want to play in second league. I want to play first league with the best, with the most demanding guys who are pushing the limit. If you don't have this kind of clients, you don't do an exceptional project. You just, it's boring.
What is an exceptional project? Give me an example. Why are they exceptional? In what are they exceptional?
This is something, when you do something exceptional, is unique. There is no reference before. You have to create something from scratch, not be inspired by this or by that and copy, cut and mix it together. Those guys, what they don't want the boat looking like somebody else. They want their boat. Their personality is a dream and they don't want that to be repeated. They're all like that. And I think this is one of my I think I'm good to understand what they dream about.
What is more difficult? The salon, the bedroom, the dining room, the kitchen, the bathroom? What is more difficult?
There's two challenges. The first challenge is to figure out the design, a unique design, and the consistency of it through the boat. You have to create a composition about a style and a material together that make a style and a design unique, a unique design. This is something, to put that together and to reach the dream of the client. Because when you do some things new, there is no reference. So my client didn't come to me with picture and say, oh, I like this, I like that. No, they come to me because they want something unique for them. So you start from scratch.
But what do they want?
They didn't tell you. They didn't tell you what they want. You have to figure that out. You have to read through them what is good for them, what is special for them. This is a number one challenge. And then number two is to go to the end of the single detail, because those guys are very sharp, to the extremely sharp. And then you have to go to the end of that to reach and say, at the end, I have no comment. This is it.
But you're also designing airplanes right now.
Yeah, big aircraft. Yeah, I just delivered a 787 a month ago.
And what's the difference between a boat and a plane?
It's obvious, but it makes a lot of difference. The boat is like a 5-star hotel, private, moving. An aircraft is the same, but it flies. And so the regulation is higher, the weight challenge is higher. It's crazy complicated. But at the same time, this is why in this industry of aircraft, people repeat, because it's certified. So as soon as you do something which is not certified, you go in a void of unknown. And the void of unknown, no one engineer wants to go there because the risk is too high. So this is up to you to convince the team of engineers which want to stay in the comfort zone to move out of this comfort zone and take the risk to go to do something else. So that's another challenge. I mean, challenge is what is interesting in life. If you have no challenge in your life, you die.
And when you do a house, an apartment?
A house, an apartment is, in terms of design, I will say is easier because you have less technical constraints. But the execution is a bit more tough because when you work in the industry of yacht and aircraft, the craftsmanship, the engineering level, the whole process is very well organized. It's very, very high. So you play complex, but you play with a very competent team, I will say. When you work on the land, I mean, as you know, if you have done some work in your life, you know that you drive a plumber, an electrician, a structural guy. This is not the same organization. And that I bring my experience from yacht and aircraft in the residential business. Also, I bring some craftsman. But the most challenge is to get the quality, equivalent quality I get in the boat and aircraft in the residential. And I think I'm good for that. But for me, the design is one thing, but the quality is everything. This is my first.
Yeah, but when you talk about quality, what do you mean quality?
What quality is very simple. You know, in the luxury world, you have, let's say, very top average level is 70%. This is a luxury, 70%, 75%. When you want to go to 80, 85, 90, is a double of the double of the double. Is exponential because you have to push the limit of every single thing to another level. And that is another step of energy. And this is what my client, like Ernesto, like others, this is what they want. This is they want that nobody have. And when you see and when you live in the kind of interior of this level of quality, then you understand the differences. It's like wearing a European cashmere. It's wow, I never touched something like that.
When, let's say, a client commissions you, it depends, a plane, a boat. Who is doing it? French artisans? French carpenters?
I work with the European and worldwide network. So I have French artisan, I have German mill worker, I have from Italian artisan too, and craftsman. In New York, I work also with general contractor in New York, who are very good. When you want to do a project at the ultimate level, you have to find the best. If you don't have the best, there is no chance you can get there. But it could be worldwide. And I have done a project in Turkey, and I find an amazing guy, and we do an amazing project together. I'm very instinctive as a person, you know. I feel it or I don't feel it. As a client, it's the same. I never run after client because if the client have no designer to work for me, what is the point? And when they come to me, is a feeling after an hour, is there or not? You know, I do or not do.
You only work with single private clients, if I understand well. I mean, it's not that you're going to work for a company who has cruise boats Or
No.
you're not working for Air France or British Airways or Alitalia?
No, I don't think, first, number one thing, they never asked me to do that. But the other things, I think my design as a quality level, I love quality and I want to push the limit. So they will not be able to afford, as a commercial approach, they cannot afford that. And when I work for the commercial things like Paddy McKillen, for example, that is a friend of both of us.
What do you do for Paddy McKillen?
I'm doing the penthouse on top of the Claridge roof.
This is not extreme luxury also and very...
Oh yeah. It will be high-end. It's a crazy project. It's mad. And he's always want me to do that. And I was always thinking that it will cost too much money for a business. And then he was very persistent to want me to do that. And at a certain point, I said, okay, if we do it, I want to do this. And it's become, and now it's going to be built in 6 months, maybe less, it's going to be finished. And it will be at the level of my client because it will be, for my clients, kind of market. So a night will be like 100,000 euros, something like this, pounds. It will be a serious thing for a serious guy, not a small club.
At the end of the day, isn't it a bit strange to only work for very wealthy single people?
Yeah.
You are French. We have an example in France. I mean, nowadays it's very expensive, obviously, because it became art or at least fashion. And a person like Jean Prouvé, who's doing furniture and all that, he was working for schools, factories, and doing practical things, objects that were of common use. You never desired to do something like that? I mean, to do something not only for the super rich or for...
It's not about super rich. If you come back from history, the cabinet maker, they're working for the kings, for the noble. So the artisanat, the high-end artisanat, which is my area, has been driven always by the top, the King Order of Versailles. I'm excited to do incredible thing as the highest quality with the highest craftsman.
You constantly repeat the word quality, but let me go into that. Are you designing, let's take a table or a chair?
Yeah, of course. I design chair, table. Yes, of course.
Okay.
Everything.
So when you say quality, what is the quality? To find the best possible wood?
For me, I have a hard time. I have a very hard time to mix between quantity and quality. When you go to quantity, it's an industrial process. So it's something else. So you design one thing to be repeated many times. I'm really an artisan. So I like to design 6 chairs, become unique, done by hand. I like these handmade things. When the society will lost maybe in the future, I would like to preserve that because I come from them and it's a human being. So something done by hand has a different thing than something done by machine.
But you don't do anything by hands yourself anymore, do you?
I draw.
How many people work with you?
15. We have a small group.
And you all work in Paris?
Yeah, I have one office in Paris and I'm working with all of my collaborators. They're all amazing. They all have a very high skill.
And how many projects you do in the same time?
20, 25, something like that. I arrive at the stage when the project I can't refuse. It's so exciting. So I want to do it. And I don't take new clients at the time. I don't need new clients. So I'm working with a client I have and the project they give me are incredible.
Let's think of planes and boats. The world of, let's call them millionaires or billionaires who can afford boats and planes, they are all over the world. They can be Asian, they can be African, they can be European, Americans, Mm-hmm. So are the tastes very different, one country to the other?
Yes, the taste is different, of course. I like the European people and American people. I really love the American clientele. And
why? I
love American. The American, when they know what they want. They're happy to pay for quality. They are not greedy. They didn't cut corners. And in America, you reach by what you spend, not by what you made. And they enjoy spending money for good things. And I think it's something which I quite enjoy because they help to push the limit and to do something very specific. The Middle East people is not for me, I have to say. The Asian client, I know of many, even if I have a huge fan of the Japanese style at the old time. The Japan, I love Japan, but I love the philosophy of the Japanese approach of perfection.
So if we should say something, what you keep on using the word quality, but maybe it is perfection, right? That's what you want.
Perfection doesn't exist, unfortunately and fortunately, because this is something you keep going to try to catch as a dream. But I think perfection, if I say perfection, try to reach the perfection, is something very interesting because for you, for human, is a very good thing to try to reach, to have this goal of doing some things better rather than to do some things commercial. So I'm not attracted by the money. I don't really care about money. I don't want to be rich. I don't dream about my client lifestyle. I don't think even it's something you have to invite.
So you don't want to have your own boat. You don't care.
No. If there is one thing I can afford one day, it will be a plane because it's a freedom tools, amazing freedom tool. But I can fly when I need. Anyway, I just say that I'm not working for a billionaire because I'm dreaming to be a billionaire. I don't care about that. I'm not even dream about having the same lifestyle.
With your job, you make a lot of money, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's good enough for me to feed my 9 children.
But you also work with your wife, don't you?
Yeah, she helped me on the styling and the fabric and the detail of cookery and things. She's very important for that. She has a good eyes.
You love freedom, but with 9 children, it's less easy, right?
No, it's amazing. Freedom is in your mind at the end of the day. And I think the most wealth in life, no question, is children, nothing else. Everything else is far away.
And how do you raise your children?
I think they educate me more than I educate them.
Yeah, but how can you take care of 9 children?
You have to love them all.
But they will live in a different world, right? I mean, there's more and more technology, science.
Yeah, I mean, they live in their world. You are a generation, I'm another generation, they are another generation. They will do their life. They will decide what they want to do. I try to make them away from the social media because it's quite toxic. But in the same time, I'm working for the people who create the social media. So it's a controversial approach, but they're so smart. You know, when you work for a guy like Ernesto or some other guy like that who creates incredible...
Ernesto Bertarelli, you mean?
Yeah, Ernesto Bertarelli or some other big client I have, you know. They're genius. They create things. They're so interesting. But for my kids, I want them to be aware as much as possible from social media.
How old is your eldest child?
The youngest she's 5 months, 6 months. And the other one, the oldest is 15. Same wife.
You have so many children because you are a very religious person?
No, it wasn't even not a plan to do that. It come one after each other. My wife loves baby. And we love kids, and I think it's a gift for life. Children is amazing, and this group is quite unique, and I enjoy life. I want to have a big life. I want only one. You have to make it amazing every day.
And how do you work? How do you organize your work? How does it work?
To be able to manage people like we told about, and having different one, and having different projects, and having very complex projects. If you want to be able to live with that, you have to be very organized, obviously. So I'm very organized, number one. Number two, I'm also very flexible. So even if I'm very organized, I can change my organization like that because I have to follow them. They have also to follow me. And I want also have a relation with them, which is very peaceful and clean relationship. I don't want them to call me every day. I don't want them to put pressure on me. I don't want them to manage me. So I want the relation with them. I want something very balanced, that I respect them, they respect me. We do some things together for them. And this is a deal. And they leave me the freedom to do the way I want to do it. So this is very important because if you don't do that, your life could be a nightmare if you submit their law. So this is something very important that I want to have my own freedom in this relationship. And they can leave me when they want, and I can leave them when I want. So this is the number one thing, organize. And after that, I try to work fast. And I never change a project. So when I fix my project, when it's approved, I never change mine. Never.
And you work how many hours?
All the time, in my mind. It's always working there.
You still have a dream?
I catch some of my dream. Let's say, for me, I focus to have a great life every day. That's the most challenging part I have. My challenge now is to dream to have more time and balance my life as much as I can. But I do it.
I mean, there's not a project that you just do what they ask you to do, or there is a project that you would love to do?
I cross all the cases. I do the biggest plane. I do the most exciting yacht for the most exciting guys. I made a residential in hotel and restaurant, whatever. I'm doing the...
Where?
In Paris, I have just finished the Plaza. You can check out Plaza restaurant.
And you like that?
Yeah, it was with Jean Humbert. We meet together. So it's because of him, I was inspired. It was a fun collaboration. I love fun. I love having fun when I do a collaboration with someone. It's nice to build a dream for someone. I like that.
And so now you're working for Plaza in Paris and Claridge's in London?
Yeah, by chance. I never trying to do that or looking for that.
No, I understand. And you have a new major boat project?
Yeah, I have a nice boat project, yeah. I don't want only doing boat or doing plane or doing residential with it. I like to do a lot of different things. And I do also things sometimes not expensive. For me, the money is not everything. But when you want to do a boat, you need money, of course. You need to afford it. Or a big plane is not something. I like to do many things. I think it's important for the health to mix up even style. I don't want to do only this, only that. I don't want people to call me for my style.
Do you have somehow a style of yours? What is your style? Are you Baroque? Are you simple? Are you Japanese? No. Are you French? Do you have a basic idea or you don't?
I like the purity, I have to say. And you can reach the purity and consistency. So I like that. But you can translate this through classic, contemporary, minimalistic. You have to travel over this. But when you do a design, for me, it's important that you have a soul. When you do a space, a room, a boat, whatever, is to bring a soul into it. So that is my main goal. At the end, you feel a soul. You feel it's an emotional interior. It's not something only perfect and cold, and you have to have a spirit into it. So
the first thing you have to do is to understand who is your client.
I have to read the personality.
And you're good at that?
I think this is what I'm the best for.
And are your clients, you said they're very interesting. Are they difficult?
They are very interesting.
And are they difficult?
I don't look that way. I think if you want to work for someone easy, you don't do anything because there is no challenge. I think challenge in life is everything. If you don't have any
you're driven by challenge.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's important. I think it's keep you alive.
But tell me something. You said you're never looking for clients. You're never doing social.
No.
There was a period, a moment in your career, in your life, where you had no clients. And did you worry? And were you anxious? I mean, you have 9 children, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is a big responsibility.
Yeah, but it's very strange. I was much more anxious before having children than now. I can tell you why, but of course I have more success now than 20 years ago or 30 years ago. More responsibility I have and more relaxed I am. And when I quit the cabinet maker to start to do my own things, I was very at the start of the start. The tough time for me was after 10 years of interior designer. I know that I was not at the level I want to be able to reach the excellences level I want to play with. That was hard because the frustration was very high. I'm working on the level and I want to reach a level that I cannot because the client at that time cannot afford that things. So that was the hard time. I have to say now it's challenging, but I have the tools to play. It's like the Juventus de Turin. If you want to play in Champions League, but you don't have the player, you don't have the coach, you cannot play.
Why the Juventus of Turin? Are you interested in that specific team?
I'm very interested by sports. I think the sport is an excellent. I'm very fascinated by the Formula One process, how you can change a four-wheel in 2 seconds, even less. So I think time has no limit to be compressed. And the limit is in your mind. So I was very inspired by sports and high-level sports. I think it's very interesting. And this is why the world is so excited by that.
Did you design a gym? Did you design a stadium? Yes?
No, a stadium never, but I designed gym and spa for the client, of course.
Swimming pools?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. Spa, swimming pool. It's a journey. Design is a journey. What is interesting in my work is you learn every day. You learn 1, 2, 3, 10 things every day. You learn all the time.
What is your relationship with colors?
Good question. My relationship with colors is the same than my relationship with the garden and all this. I was very much not into it like 15 years ago. And now I have children, and now I'm in love with colors. I'm in love with gardens. I made some garden for some of my house. I'm very interested by the garden, by the nature now.
You made gardens?
Yeah. But for my home, I made garden, but I work with landscape designer, but I'm very interested now. I work with Verts. I work with Madison Cox Design Office, but also some unknown designer who are very good too. Not only superstar landscape designer. But for my home in Ibiza, I have done the garden, 2 hectares. I love it. I love buying trees. I think buying trees is a very good asset.
You have your own garden?
Yeah, I have a few gardens, yeah. I have few houses.
Where?
I have one in Ibiza. I have one in Annecy, one in Deauville, one in Paris.
And they all have a garden?
Mm-hmm. No, not in Paris, unfortunately.
Okay, Rémi, I think it's interesting what you said. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Alain Elkann interviews.